Lidakor.
To the game. To the game. Oh, there it is.
There it is. There it is. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 3 in this series between VortiX and MarineLorD. We are in the grand finals of the very first round. Open battlefield for the Golden League. Spawning in on the west side of the map, playing in the color blue, the Holy Roman Empire player for this round is going to be VortiX.
And on the right side, we do have MarineLorD down 2 games in the red playing as the French. Both players having potentially their best or favorite civilizations being used here in this game. We have seen an HRE fall to the Mongols in the previous game. What does MarineLorD learn and take away from the previous game, now him being up against the HRE?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I think the most important part is going to be looking to stop the gathering of those relics. There's a couple of different ways that you can do it. Typically, number 1 is aggression in the feudal age. Number 2 is beating your enemy to castle age and actually stealing away those relics. And then there's option number 3, which is not normally an option I like to take, but it is always possible, and that is just letting your enemy take the relics and then coming up with an alternative game plan, but typically it's going to end in you saying GG, so it's never something you want to be doing. But we're going to take a short look at the relic spawns here, the Fog of War about to be removed for you guys, and we're going to find out exactly where these relics are on the minimap and how good of a spawn VortiX has got.
Not so terrible for him. It's actually very similar to what we have seen in the previous game. You get 3 relics sort of equidistant to his town center. 2 relics are more like on the side of MarineLorD. Not easy to grab 3 relics here, but let's just say that he doesn't have a terrible spot either. It's not great, but it's actually fairly comparable to what MarineLorD had to utilize in the previous game.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. It is, I would say it's a pretty even, pretty equal spawn coming out. Doesn't really favor either player. So I think both players are going to be happy with this. VortiX is going to be happy that that the relics are relatively accessible. But we do see some sheep making their way in. What is that? Is that village? Please don't tell me that village is going out to murder the sheep. Okay. Oh, no, he is! Not like this! The villager! Oh, oh my lord. He was on a mission to murder that villager, that sheep. What is he doing out here?
Oh, I get the feel that the production team is gonna be like, okay, production team, can we just finish the stream here right now? It's like, gone. It's over. What was that sheep kill even? Oh boy.
That is terrible. And now it blocks his Archon Chapel as well. That is... that's a feels bad moment right there. Holy... You could tell that something was up as well because he wasn't carrying his wood chopping axe. He was carrying that little shepherd's stick that they get out. I could just tell he had it in him. There was a look in his eye.
Oh man. At least the Archon Chapel is great. I guess we're back at it. We have been doing this the whole day, but it's time to raid the Archon Chapel. What do you have?
All right. Let's take a look at that Archon Chapel. So, judging from the placement here, we've got a wood line, we've got a gold mine, we've got the town center. I would call that a basic Archon Chapel, and that's going to be a 6.
Only a 6? I would have gone for something like 7 or 8, actually. You have all 3 of your resources covered by it, and this means that whatever you're gathering, you're benefiting a lot from that Archon Chapel. The only thing that's a little concerning is that the only source of food that you have it covered is just going to be the stuff under your town center. This would be a perfect Archon Chapel for a professional scouts build, though.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point. That way that you've got that food income under the Archon Chapel, you're always going to be buffing it up. And now look at the villagers turning around and doing some damage up against that scout. And you've got to watch out for these villagers. They have murdered many sheep, including sheep that sit currently underneath the Archon very safely.
Well, it looks like MarineLorD wants to do some harassment on those villagers, but really, neither of these sides will take a ton of damage here, because you can pull that prelate, heal up the villagers, and the scouts, of course, can just disengage and run away. It's once again that same harassment that MarineLorD loves to do over and over again. This time around, he can't do it on the gold mine, because no one is on the gold mine for VortiX, and that's a thing to talk about, because this is not a fast castle for VortiX.
Yeah, this is an interesting playstyle coming out from VortiX here. A lot of these villagers quite low, so keep in mind, even if you can get these villagers down to half health, by the time the French knight comes in, it's going to be looking to one-shot these villagers. So they need to be very careful with how much damage they take. And now villagers looking to surround the scouts into the corner, not going to be able to get that connection. Yeah, just struggling here, dealing with these scouts, just being so pesky, so annoying, so frustrating to deal with.
It is so frustrating, and that's indeed the name of the game. You don't have to kill the villagers, you just have to frustrate them. You have to basically force VortiX to pay all the attention to that. And as the first knight comes in, as you said, some of those villagers are quite heavily damaged, so a single charge could wipe out one villager, and then this swing of the sword could kill a second one. Barracks is going to be the reaction to the cavalry coming in, but you get the feel that VortiX is in a little bit of a tricky spot here, because he's just not dropping that barracks, but you don't necessarily see the game plan coming in just yet for him.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. You need to make sure that you've got a game plan coming into these matches. He would have expected a civilization to come out. Obviously, this is open battlefields. There's a lot of different options available to his enemy, whether that's China, whether that's English, whether that is the French. And he spotted the French coming out, and he's going to have to execute a game plan here. He knows there's going to be early knights. He knows there's going to be early aggression from the scouts, and yet still he delays that barracks coming up and pays for it significantly with both idle time and health on those villagers. So a lot of these villagers, you can see the health pool on them is going to be quite low. But now that spearman coming down, going to be looking to dish out the damage towards that knight, but unfortunately going to be falling back. A second spear comes out in tandem and helps his brother out. Fortunately, going to be able to secure up this wood line and keep everybody safe and happy, but now falls out over towards that eastern front and looks to expand towards the berry bushes.
Archer range being added already by MarineLorD, and you get the feel that VortiX is falling into the same trap or problem that MarineLorD was in the previous game. You just extend your Feudal Age with the HRE, and that's not what you want to do. You want to get to costless as soon as possible. You want to start picking those relics up ASAP. And you see that survival techniques was researched by MarineLorD. He's moving out for a hunt all across the map, realizing that his opponent is just pinned inside his own base. And with knights and archers, you could contain a VortiX for quite a long time, and that will allow you to capitalize on those hunts very easily, whereas for VortiX right now, those villagers on the berries aren't even buffed by a prelate, so those are standard berry gatherers, not necessarily the most spectacular part of VortiX's economy.
And that's why the Archon gets a 6 and not a 7, Lidakor, because the berries aren't underneath it. And those berries are so damn important in a situation like this, where he only opened with the single scout. So it means he's not going to have a huge amount of sheep. And now you can see those knights actually taking out, doing a little bit of a maneuver there and missing the spearmen. So doing a pretty decent job. Scouts actually do go down, though. And look at the micro coming out here. Not a single knight lost. A scout obviously goes down. A little bit of a pincer movement there, but all of the spears going to be going down, though.
Beautiful micro here by MarineLorD. Archers are now coming in, and here's the deal. The moment that first archer hits the field, suddenly those spearmen won't be able to hold off the knights for long, and those berries are getting denied from VortiX. VortiX's food eco could collapse here in just a matter of seconds. First horseman out to take down that archer. Looks like the archer is gonna get finished off here. MarineLorD wasn't really paying a lot of attention to that, but once again, you just get that feel that VortiX is going nowhere with this game. He's surviving, and oh no. Am I seeing farms? Those will be Aachen-Chapel boosted farms, but even then, it's a big investment in Feudal Age. Aachen-Chapel this, Aachen-Chapel that. It actually reminds me of a set that VortiX played, I think it was on Altai, and he played English, went fairly aggressive in the early farming. But I don't think that this investment is good at this point, because the French player will just have comparable food income from the hunts.
Yeah, that is exactly right. And at this point, I mean, I'm reminiscing about a comment that I read in chat probably about a minute ago. You've got, the Chad deer gatherers that are just gathering up the deer. They've got their wheelbarrow. They've got their extra super duper buffed up survival techniques. And then you've got like I'm not going to say the V word because we're here on a family-friendly stream, but you've got the berry gatherers that just don't like to really gather berries that much.
And indeed, horsemen now coming in, but the knight numbers are increasing quite rapidly for MarineLorD, and we're just seeing that dangerous play that the French can do. Just roam around with groups of 2 or 3 knights, heal them up with chivalry when out of combat, and just keep raiding and raiding. You see, VortiX is running circles around his base with those villagers because there's just nowhere left to go. MarineLorD is slowly cornering him, and every once in a while, those knights are coming in for a raid, getting 1 or 2 villagers picked off. MarineLorD is playing this one very patiently, and he is just limiting the options of VortiX perfectly.
Yeah, he's doing a great job as well. And now we can see the numbers for VortiX are very low here. Beautiful screen coming in from MarineLorD. He's doing a great job here just picking off the spears. You can see that's 2 spears going down now. Archer's going to be looking to fall back towards this position. Knights realizing they can take this fight. He can pull in a little bit of micro, does a great job managing to counter away those spears. And you can see just how well he's dividing up these forces. But at the same time, reinforcements coming through for VortiX. He looks like he might be able to hold on in this position and keep his head above water, at least in this stage of the game.
He has done a great job taking that fight over here. MarineLorD trusted his archers to finish off the spears, but that wasn't the case. He is able to get away with most of the knights, and that's going to be important because he can heal them back up. But VortiX shows that, hey, I'm not done yet. And we have seen in numerous cases, especially like in the meta that was present like 1 month ago or so, that Horseman Spearman is a very capable force to deal with the knights and archers. Depends on the numbers, of course, though, and that is the biggest concern right now for VortiX. Only 11 army as opposed to 14, and the army value is much higher for MarineLorD with those expensive knights on the roster.
Yeah, well, the big thing for me is take a look at MarineLorD. Not only is he sitting out here on these hunts with survival techniques, with wheelbarrow, but he's also sitting on a significant villager lead. He's got 8 more villagers than his enemy, 20% more villagers than his enemy has got right now. It is a huge difference between these two players. And he's going to be able to use that additional villager gathering to get up to the castle age before his enemy, potentially, or just to overwhelm him in the feudal age with units.
Yeah, that's a great point, although we have to note that VortiX does have the Aachen Chapel to work here, but he still is intending to cut into that villager deficit. He gets a kill on that villager. Second one didn't go down, but there's the retaliation coming in. And MarineLorD is reaching that critical mass where he can just dive close to that town center with the knights and archers. And you see, VortiX at this point, he's tempted to fight this one, but he has to be very cautious. Insufficient numbers here would mean a decisive defeat, and then the archers and knights just swarm his eco.
Yeah, now we can see those knights looking to force back those horsemen. At the same time, a bit of a screen running. You can see the archers being able to shoot over the top of these buildings, doing such a great job. Screen going to be moving forward here. Great job at defending against this position. Not enough archers out yet, I don't think, to one-shot these spears. Actually, he might have a critical mass of them now. He's now able to take these down. This is not looking good here for VortiX. MarineLorD actually able to completely overwhelm his opponent. I think we might even have a good game getting called any second here.
There it is.
Overwhelmed. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. We are going through to game number 4 of this best of 5 series. MarineLorD manages to put one back on the board. 12 minutes that game went. 12 minutes. These guys are speedrunning a best of 5. I tell you what, I feel like we could fit all the games from this series into like one of the games of the first series that we watched today, Lidakor.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, it's getting late, so people are like, or at least the players are like, oh yeah, I just want to win this set as fast as possible. But part of the reason why this is happening is because we are seeing a lot more aggression coming from the players compared to the previous set, potentially. So you see, MarineLorD isn't messing around. He's not like, okay, my opponent is playing very defensive, I will just add a second town center, slowly control the relics. He's like, okay, let's go full feudal pressure, knights and archers, and he's committing to these battles. This is the difference, I think, that I'm noticing between this set and the one that we have seen before.